I made a Stampy Longhead themed escape room in Minecraft. There are 4 rooms with a ton of puzzles you would typically find in a real life escape room. Though, why did I do this in the first place? Let me explain. So about 2 months ago, Stampy posted a video called Spoiler Warning, where in that video he announced his newest project that he would be working on in his lovely world being his own escape room in Minecraft. Now, this escape room wasn't particularly themed around anything. The first room was themed around his old bedroom, and the second room was themed around his secret base, but on a smaller scale. But the idea of a Stampy Longhead themed escape room really intrigued me, and all of a sudden I found my mind running with ideas for things that you could do in a Stampy Longhead themed escape room, which leads us to today, where I have spent the past month and a half working on this escape room and have spent about 3 to 5 hours a day working on it, sometimes even more than that. So without further ado, let's show you the very first room. So obviously the first room had to be Stampy's bedroom. I mean, he starts every episode in his bedroom and eating his morning cake, greeting his helpers. I mean, it's probably, if not the most iconic place in his lovely world. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Stampy also built his bedroom in his escape room, but he built the old version of his escape room while I built his current version of his bedroom, mainly because 1, there is a lot more stuff to work with for the puzzles, and 2, I don't want to directly copy anything from Stampy's escape room. I want to make everything in this escape room my own. Which leads us to the first thing in our escape room being these lecterns. Now, these lecterns are spread throughout the entire escape room and tell the story of the escape room, because this escape room isn't just themed around Stampy Longhead, it's actually themed around a day in the life of Stampy Longhead. I wanted to make it feel like that while you are doing this escape room, you are going through what would be a typical episode of Stampy Longhead. So these lecterns help kind of show the story which is unfolding while you are playing the escape room. Now, you can pause and read the book if you would like to, but to put it in short, basically, Stampy has woken up, done his intro, and realised that he forgot to make his morning cake. So you, his helpers, are going to help him find the missing ingredients to help bake him a new cake. Now, if you did pause and read the book, you should know that the first step is you have to find a book that should have some clues in leading to the ingredients. If you look around, you may notice that one of the bookshelves next to Stampy's beds is actually a chiseled bookshelf, meaning you can actually take the books off of it. And one of those books is titled Cake Clues. And inside, you'll obviously find the clues for the ingredients to make the cake and what to do with the cake once you have made it. Now, going over the clues, the first one states, I stored the wheat in a double-sized container, meaning the double chest in Stampy's bedroom. Hey, don't judge. We need to at least have a handful of easy clues in this escape room. The second clue says, who remembers when I would throw eggs at my helpers from the balcony? Now that should lead you to the balcony where obviously there is the trapdoor where Stampy would normally drop Fizzy down, but if you open it, there's actually a chest filled with eggs. Now, the third clue is where the difficulty starts to ramp up, as the clue says the arrow points to the way out. Now, if you've looked over the room properly, you should have noticed a netherite upgrade in an item frame above the ender chest, which obviously has an arrow on it. What you are supposed to do is keep turning the item around until the arrow points towards the iron door. When it does, the iron door should open up, revealing a chest with sugar inside. And the last clue states, Chirp is such a good music disc that even the painting starts dancing. So what this puzzle is about, you may have noticed a music disc in an item frame. Now if you take that music disc out of the item frame and play it, an iron door will actually open up behind the painting, which then leads to a secret compartment which should have a chest filled with buckets of milk. Now the last page in the book says, once you make the cake, remember to place it on the log, as that is the best way to eat cake. So once you make the cake, you are supposed to put it on the log where Stampy normally has his cake in the morning, and if you've done everything right, the door should now open to room number 2. But before you even make it to the second room, you are greeted with a lectern, which basically says that after Stampy finishes eating his cake, he goes to grab Barnaby, but Barnaby isn't there. Though he doesn't think too much of it and just assumes that he must be at the doghouse playing with the other dogs, which well takes us to the second room, being the doghouse. So once you enter the doghouse, you are once again greeted with another lectern, saying that once Stampy entered the doghouse, he saw that all the dogs were missing, and immediately assumed that it must be hit the target. Though as he tried to exit, he realised that all the doors were locked, and immediately assumed that hit the target must have trapped them so he couldn't get out. But remembers that he secretly added a secret door when renovating the doghouse to get the dogs out without hit the target seeing. Now, if he can then open that secret door, he could go to the secret base and reprogram his teleporter to secretly send him to hit the target's castle without him noticing. But first, he needs to get that secret door open. Wow, that is a lot of secrets. Okay, so first things first, while you're exploring the doghouse, you may notice that some of the items in the item frames are actually renamed to specific words. If you take the items out, you can put them in a certain order that says, give Barnaby his favourite ball. Now, if you go back to the first room and go up to where Barnaby sleeps, you'll actually see that in the item frame is Barnaby's ball. What you are supposed to do is take that ball out and then drop it onto Barnaby's bed in the doghouse, which then you will hear a piston noise, but nothing changes in the doghouse. But the truth is, something actually does change. You see, there is this lever in the doghouse, which is for the fire alarm. However, if you try to pull this before you gave Barnaby his ball, nothing would happen. But now that you did give Barnaby his ball, if you go back and pull that lever again, a secret compartment would open up showing some color-coded levers. Now, no book tells you the code, but actually the code is hidden throughout the doghouse in little differences. As an example, one of the red stripes on the wall is actually pink. And there are a ton more differences like this, like one of the wool in the pool is purple instead of red. Behind one of the doors is a block of blue wool. One of the glowstones are replaced for an ochre frog light, which is supposed to represent yellow. And the beetroot soup dispenser dispenses red wool instead of beetroot soup. So now, if you pull down all of these coloured levers, the secret door should now open to room number 3. And as you might have guessed, the third room is the secret base. And once again, you are greeted by another lectern, which says that once Stampy gets to his secret base, he needs to reprogram his teleporter. Luckily, he made it so you could secretly reprogram the teleporter using the weather machine. However, he needs to figure out the coordinates of hit the target's castle. Luckily though, he should be able to figure out the coordinates using his other devices and gadgets in the secret base. Starting off with the time machine. Now, in one of the chests in the secret base, you should find a book labelled TM Controls, standing for Time Machine Controls. And it reads out that Stampy destroyed the redstone for the time machine so that nobody would ever accidentally send themselves to a different time, whether it is past or future. But he did repurpose the time machine's controls to access a secret hole in the wall wall where you could really store whatever you like. Now, here's where the kind of puzzle comes in. There isn't a set of clues you need to find throughout the secret base. It's just Stampy forgot to tell you the actual secret code. And if you go to the very last page of the book, it states that, oh, right, I forgot to tell you the secret code, and then tells you the secret code, which is the far left lever, the far right lever, the pressure plate, and then the remaining lever. And if you follow the code, it should open up the secret compartment, revealing a blue shulker box with blue stained glass inside named 4. So the next puzzle is this pressure plate in the corner of the room. Now, any long-term Stampy fan might remember that when you stand on this pressure plate, it opens a secret door to a panic room. Well, I actually designed this escape room around having 2 players. So what you would do is have one person stand on the pressure plate and the second person go into the panic room, and they should eventually find a yellow shulker box hidden and camouflaged in the wall, which has yellow stained glass inside named 1 and a book titled Disgusting Cake. Which leads us to our next puzzle, where in the book it states that Stampy accidentally made the world's most disgusting cake and sadly has to write down the recipe so he never makes this mistake again. And also states that he then hides the book in a place where no one will ever find it. But of course, you obviously found it. So now your next step is to make the world's most disgusting cake at Stampy's Cakey Bakey Tasty Cake Making Cooking Machine. And while you do know the recipe, you don't know where to find the ingredients. Well, if you search through Stampy's bedroom properly, you may have noticed there are actually 2 other books on the chiseled bookshelf which you can read. One of them being Fun Facts and the other one being TV Channels. The TV Channels book we will get to later. For now, we are focusing on the Fun Facts book. Now, inside the Fun Facts books, there are obviously fun facts, but also hidden among the fun facts, it also tells you where to get the ingredients. Like, one of the fun facts says that Stampy secretly likes mushroom stew, so he has some mushrooms in the chest in his bedroom. Another fun fact says that William Beaver uses the chests in his secret base as composters and a place to put his rotten vegetables. Another one says that the dog's favourite thing to do is chew bones, so obviously that's where you get the bones. And another one says that Duncan secretly has a stash of fish above his bed for when Mittens comes over. So now that you know where all the ingredients are and how to use them, you put them into Stampy's cake baking machine, you press the button, and not only do you get the world's most disgusting cake, but you also get some white stained glass named 2. Now on to the last puzzle. Remember that book I said titled TV Channels? Well, if you didn't know, Stampy actually has a TV in his secret base. And this TV Channels book should hopefully help you to figure out the puzzle for that TV. As when you read the book, it lists off 4 different TV channels and how to position the antennas, which by the way are the levers on top of the TV to get those certain channels. Well, if you're able to put 1 and 1 together, you should figure out that you need to position the levers corresponding to the weather channel, as you're trying to figure out the coordinates to put into the weather machine to reprogram the teleporter. So once you position the levers for the weather channel, a hole should open up, revealing a cyan shulker box with cyan stained glass inside named 3. So now if you haven't figured it out already, the numbered stained glasses represent the order in which you should press the buttons on the weather machine, being 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you do it in that order, the door to the 4th room should open. But don't worry if you get it wrong, because there is a reset button. But now that you've figured out the coordinates for Hit the Target's castle and reprogram the teleporter, we can move on to our final room in this escape room, being Hit the Target's castle. Well, kinda. Because as you probably can tell, this isn't Hit the Target's castle. What this actually is a room styled around Hit the Target's castle. Now the reason I did this is because, one, I felt like Hit the Target's castle was too small to replicate and have the puzzles that I wanted to do for the final room. And two, because I wanted to have a lot more creative freedom with the final room. Because I knew the puzzles I wanted to add into the final room, but I knew that they wouldn't fit into Hit the Target's castle. Because with the previous rooms, I had to tie the puzzles around the objects in the rooms. But I knew that wasn't possible with Hit the Target's castle. So that's why instead I decided to make a room that felt like it would be a part of Hit the Target's castle instead of actually building Hit the Target's castle. So now that you know all of that, let's move on to the actual room, starting with, of course, the lectern and book. So the book says that once Stampy gets to Hit the Target's castle, he notices a machine in the middle of the room and realizes that it's a despawning machine and that Hit the Target didn't take his dogs, he made them disappear. Realizing how serious the situation just became, because now he doesn't need to just save his dogs but every animal in his world, he needs to reverse the effects of the machine and then destroy it so it can never be used again. The only problem is he doesn't know how. Which leads us on to the actual room. If you explore the room thoroughly enough, you should find chiseled bookshelves with more books to read. This time there being 4, which is HTT's Diary, Viva's Notes, The Animal Gang, and How to Brew. Now you can pause and read the books if you want to, but to put it shortly, Hit the Target's Diary, basically he just talks about his plan and the machine. However, the two things worth noting is he mentions how Viva Dash made it so you actually have to do archery to power the machine, and how he hid a box of arrows behind the weather machine in Stampy's secret base just in case he ever gets cornered down there so he can have unlimited ammo, which you will be needing for later on. And then in Viva's note, she talks about how you need to cool down the machine after using it or else it won't work. And the cooling system is based around her favourite book being The Animal Gang. Then she goes on to state that she needs to extend the 1-minute reset timer for the archery minigame that you do to power the machine, as Hit the Target doesn't have as good aim as he claims to say he has. She also mentions the 3 potions you need to reach the reverse switch, just in case Hit the Target wants a new pet again, and that she keeps string and phantom membrane under her desk just in case she needs it. As for the other 2 books, we'll get to them later. Now on to the actual puzzle, starting with the archery minigame. Now this isn't technically a puzzle as it is more a minigame, because what you have to do is hit all the targets once within a 1-minute timer. If you fail to do that, the whole game resets itself. The only actual puzzle element to this is you need to make your own bows and find your own arrows. As we established earlier, the arrows are hidden in a secret box behind the weather machine in the secret base. As for the bows, you can find sticks in the doghouse and string underneath Viva Dash's desk. And then you can use the crafting table inside Stampy's bedroom to make your own bows. Or a fishing rod if you want to. But once you have your bows and arrows and complete the minigame in under a minute, the redstone lamps underneath your feet should light up, indicating that you have completed this puzzle and can move on to the next one. So the next puzzle is the cooling system. Now if you remember, the cooling system puzzle is actually tied to Viva Dash's favourite book, The Animal Gang. Now inside the Animal Gang book, it's basically just a storybook. However, amongst the story, I hid little clues as to what you need to do to complete the cooling system puzzle. But outside of the book, the actual cooling system itself has a lot of components to it. It has these colour-coded levers, which correspond to these colour-coded blocks inside this glass tube, and there is also a button that starts and resets the cooling system. So once you start the cooling system, what you are supposed to do is pull the levers in a certain order to drop the water down into these certain holes. If you drop it into the wrong hole, you fail and have to restart. And if you use the hints that I put into the book, you will know that the first levers you need to pull are the orange and red one, then you need to pull the lime and green one, and last of all you need to pull the white, blue and pink ones. And if you do it all properly, water should dispense and put out the fire inside of the despawning machine, showing that you have completed this puzzle. As for the next puzzle, what you need to do is brew 3 specific potions, being fire resistant, slow falling and night vision. Now most of the resources you need to make these potions are in the chest next to Viva Dash's desk. However, the key items you need to make these potions are spread throughout the escape room. The magma cream you need for the fire resistance potion is actually in the doghouse, as I replaced the slime ball dispenser for a magma cream dispenser. The phantom membrane you need for the slow falling potions is obviously underneath Viva Dash's desk. And the golden carrots you need for the night vision potion, you may remember, are actually in the chest in Stampy's bedroom. And I also made a how to brew book, just in case you play this escape room and you don't know how to brew these specific Minecraft potions. And now that you have the ingredients and brewed the potions, you can now do the series of challenges to reach the reverse switch. The first thing you need to do is drink the fire resistance potion and go through the door of lava. Then you need to drink the slow falling potion so you can drop down this pit safely without killing yourself on the dripstone at the bottom. Then you should find yourself in a dark room where you need to drink the night vision potion. Then you should be able to see that there's actually little alcoves with light grey concrete in them. And if you look carefully, you might notice that one of them is not like the others and is actually a small little tunnel that leads to a lever. And if you pull that lever, a secret door will open up, revealing the reverse switch. And once you pull the lever, you can go down this pretty sizable tunnel which takes you back to the main room. And now that you've done the 3 main puzzles for this room, a book should pop out of the ground in front of the machine, which reads out Stampy saying that you should have reversed the effects of the machine. Now you need to find a way to destroy it, but it's too well built to destroy with a mere pickaxe, so maybe you could fry the system, but with what? And that's when he realises that you can use beetroot soup in the dropper on the machine to destroy it. And if you really explored this escape room properly, you might remember that there was beetroot soup in one of the chests in the secret base. And once you put that beetroot soup in the dropper, the machine will start to explode and another book will pop out of the ground, in which Stampy says, "It's about to blow! Quickly, get back to the teleporter!" In which you run back into the teleporter, but instead of going down the stairs, you actually fall into a hole that opened up when you put the beetroot soup into the machine. And you land in a room with a minecart track and a chest filled with minecarts, in which you ride the railway and it takes you to another room which is filled with Stampy's dogs and of course Mittens, because that's it, you finished the escape room. And you have one last lectern and book to read, in which Stampy says, "Look, we did it, all my pets are back." Hopefully that will teach Hit the Target and Viva Dash a lesson, that even if they get rid of my dogs, I will always have my friends to help me, and together we can do anything. But for now, let's celebrate our victory, and there's no better way to celebrate than with cake! And then there's also one more page which basically is just me thanking the player for playing the escape room and asking them if they noticed any of the Easter eggs or hidden references that I hid among the escape room. And then as one big final hurrah, I built a giant statue of Stampy and his friends eating all of their favourite food, because why not? You just finished a day in the life of Stampy Longhead escape room and you deserve a big reward in the form of a big statue. And that's it. That's the escape room. But it's not the last thing I want to say. Because as I said at the beginning of this video, one of the reasons I built this escape room is because I felt inspired from Stampy's escape room. But it's not the only reason. Because Stampy is actually ending his Lovely World series really soon, and I wanted to do something to commemorate that, but I'm not really a good artist. However, I am a good builder in Minecraft, so I wanted to commemorate Stampy for finishing his Lovely World and to thank him for the many years of joy he brought me and so many others. So if you will, you could see this as my parting gift to Stampy and his Lovely World. Even though Stampy isn't going anywhere, but his Lovely World is. And one last thing before I end the video. As I mentioned earlier, I hid a ton of Easter eggs and hidden references throughout the escape room. And if you would like me to, I would love to make a video going over all of the Easter eggs and hidden references inside of the escape room. As there's some you might have already catched on to while watching this video, but I know there are a ton that you definitely didn't see. So if you would like me to do that, then please tell me in the comments down below, and if you have any questions about the escape room, ask them in the comments down below and I will do my best to answer as many of them as I can. But with that, that is it for today's episode. I have had an absolute blast building this escape room and making this video, and while at times it was difficult, I pushed through and here we are. And if you did enjoy the video, then please leave a like down below, and once again comment any questions that you may have to ask me, or really just your thoughts on the video. But with that, that is it for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed, and with that said and done, see ya!